Hi again. I shut off my video by accident, but we're learning new things every day, so we'll just continue. This is what I was going for. This page here. Um, can I? No. I'm unable to move myself, but that's okay. I'm going to be over here for right now. Um, so, what exactly is a Nordic, right? Where does that word come from? So, I can hear Marvin. So the word comes from the Scandinavia, ancient Scandinavia. This is something where I looked it up. I said, well, what is a Nordic? So it comes from these countries here: Sweden, Denmark, Norway, Finland, Iceland, the Faroe Islands, Åland, and Greenland. Okay, but also down here. Okay, and this links to Tartaria. Now, the UK, Ireland is also there, just in this distinct vicinity. So we've got Germany, Poland, and we've got Russia. All right. Now, the reason why I connect that all together, now I hope that, okay, I'm going to go over here. Oh, where's the, I have a lot of tabs open. Oh, it's over here before this one. Okay. Give me a second here. Okay. Okay, well, here we go. So this is Tartaria. And here, all up here, here's Russia, where Russia would be. Okay, China's down here. Here's India, right here. Okay, this would be the Middle East. There's Africa. All of these places had a big part in the Antediluvian age as well. This is why right now they're finding a lot of megalithic structures in Russia. And once I close some of these tabs, because I've got so many open, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I will open some new ones and I will show you some megalithic structures from Russia and such. But this all goes back to Tartaria, but before that, it cycles back over again and again and again. And these technologies are rediscovered again and again and again. And sometimes the civilization that rediscovers them or the people that discover them kind of tweak them in their own way, like we have in this civilization after we discovered this type of anti-gravity levitation thing, right? We have our own ways of construction in this civilization time and age. Okay, but this goes back all the way to where I was saying ancient India. I know this might be a little bit difficult to see the map. I will post this map below. They do have a bit of a different name, but I think it's because they may have clearly spoken differently back then. Maybe even had some Latin or something going on. But these mix of different cultures, because this was all united like it was in the age from which I was from, the Antediluvian or Atlantean age, which I was reincarnated from. Okay, so all of these places were united and working in harmony, and we're going to go into the giant bells, sound technology, and different things just a little bit briefly. Of course, if you want to research it more, I'm going to put some videos below which you can find further information. It's just there's so much to go through that I just don't really want to overwhelm myself, but I don't want to forget those things because these link the ancient civilization and these worlds, including the time when giants lived among us. And we're going to get there. Okay, this is going to be a bit of a deep dive, I suppose. I always say that I'm going to try to go as quickly as possible, and I do, but it always ends up being long. But so these are the areas, and then where we were is up here on the map. Okay, so here is the UK and such. Where was, okay, here, all right? So here's the UK, and we're dealing with up here, all right, from these places here. And again, this connects back to the ancient Vikings and such, okay, and that civilization. There is now, in my video about New Schwabenland and ancient technologies rediscovered, we went over the swastika and the ancient history that has and how it was changed. Okay? Because there's two different ways, and the consensus is that it's good luck, fortune, unity, and harmony, and all that. And it represents the four worlds between those things. Because, like, for example, in Ancient Aliens, they say that in places like Machu Picchu, they believe that aliens and humans live together. Let's just say unknown beings that we are not aware of today, because that's really what alien means, as I've gone over in previous videos. It doesn't mean necessarily that they are off-world aliens, but again, I will say that if you've watched that video about the ancient technologies rediscovered, where I talk about the interdimensional flying machines that they made, which probably was not, most likely, definitely, was not the first time it was discovered, because in ancient India, they had the Vimanas, for example, okay, which also did function on a liquid mercury vortex engine, as we've seen in this deep dive series, I believe. It was only in a picture, and I didn't really talk about it that much because I can't really explain it to you. I'm not an engineer or a scientist that can explain how it functions, but I do recognize it, okay? So moving on. Oh, right. So with that video, what I was trying to tell you is that they had interdimensional craft. I was thinking myself that if I had one of these interdimensional craft, for a while, I wouldn't even leave the planet because there's so much here to see. There would be no need to leave. But if you did, let's just say that space is as they are, and let's not debate it, okay? That, Mars is where they say it is, and the planet and the solar system, yes. So because as if you watch with Ning Li, she even reproduced an electromagnetic field which was similar to the Earth's electromagnetic field, which protects us from radiation. So it probably, again, was not the first time this was discovered, and this would act as a shield to protect you from the radiations of space. There's also a way to create even an energetic electromagnetic shield, I would suppose. You wouldn't see it. You see this in Star Trek when they get hit and the shield kind of reflects itself. It would be something like this, but it would be a mechanism within the ship itself producing that, with maybe some type of spin force with something. I don't know. There could be many ways that you could produce this. Again, I'm not that scientific, okay? I'm doing my best with this. Based on the feelings that I've gotten, my intuitive leads. Like, I was up till about 3 o'clock in the morning. Yes, I'm eating watermelon. I've got a giant plate of watermelon, which I will be consuming as we are speaking. But if I didn't mention, because I'm going all over the place, the interdimensional craft, gotta focus, right? So, there's a lot of information that I'd like to go over. There's a lot of information in this head. So, if I was to take a craft, and even before, let's stop here, even before, I'm not doing any satanic symbolism, even before that, say, during 1945, the Vril, and Thule societies, they had interdimensional craft. So even if they left, they could switch into another dimension somehow. I don't know how. Well, might take them a little while to get there, depending on how fast it goes, how their technology will function out in space. There's only so much that I could go on, right? Depending, I mean, they could have made it to, say, Aldebaran. And since it's interdimensional, so you get to this, even if in our dimensional reality here, there's nothing on it. If you switch to another dimension, there might be. That's what Elena Denon said when she said, well, there's aliens on Jupiter, but they're in another dimension. So it looks like if I did leave the planet, say Mars or Venus, but let's just say Mars, because we've seen more of that and different ruins on it or whatever. Say I go to Mars, I see nothing on it, but then switch to another dimension where Mars may be fully occupied. You see? And this would be the interdimensional flying machine. So, I mean, you could solve problems by space rocks and stuff. I mean, if you had the proper shielding and the radiation shielding, you'd be okay. I don't know about speed again, but you'd be okay. And you could make it to the moon for sure. You know? But also, like I was saying, with time travel, you could switch to another dimension that functions at a faster rate of time and essentially end up in the future. But you would have still been an ancient human here, or from the Thule Society when they left in 1945, for example. You would still be a person from here, just from a different time. And this goes back for a really long time, like when there were giants, like I explained, that people at one time had the one eye, and then, I mean, they were giants, then two eyes, and then three, but then the third eye went in and we started to get smaller and such. There's a whole process of evolution that we missed out on, and it talks a lot about that in the secret teachings of all ages. You know, it's not just symbolic. It's how evolution functioned, and this explains giants and such, which we went over a little bit before, but we're going to touch on that again, because I found a better example of how big the Anunnaki would be, these beings. Or, I would say maybe even the descendants of such, which also links it to Gene Simmons, which is funny, because I met him, and I even made a joke. I said, when he stood up, I was so surprised how big he was. And I said, sir, do you have giant in your blood? And then we laughed. But this was many, many years ago, and I knew nothing about this, okay? I mean, I still had these memories inside of me about the Antediluvian age, but it's not like I was going to discuss that with him. It was clearly just a joke, because he was so big to me. You know what I mean? Such a tall fella, broad-shouldered fella. We'll talk about that. So, this was back when I lived in California. So, where do we go from here? So, right. Okay, so we're going to keep going with the Nordic thing. All right, so this is what we're talking about, people like this. This is why they say that these Nordic ETs may look like a tall, blonde, beautiful woman from, say, Sweden or whatever. Because they most likely could be, but from an ancient time. Let's just go back. Let me see where it was. Okay, that's the map of Tartaria. I've got so much open. Okay, let's go here, because this is the definition of Nordic. Okay, I'm going to go scroll back up. Share this tab instead. Nordic. Of relating to the Germanic peoples of Northern Europe and especially of Scandinavia. When they talk about these extraterrestrials, this is kind of what they're meaning. Of or relating to a group of physical type characterized by tall stature, long head, light skin and hair, like really light skin and hair, and blue eyes. Okay? The ski thing is not related to what we're talking about. But again, a native of Northern Europe, a person of Nordic physical type, a member of the peoples of Scandinavia. But when I read this, of Nordic physical type, okay, I was like, well, what is exactly Nordic physical type? Go back up a little bit. Okay. Start up here with the title. Share this tab instead. So, what are Nordic physical traits? Okay. The supposed physical traits of the Nordics included light eyes, light skin, tall stature, a dolichocephalic skull. We're going to have to look up what that means because I didn't catch that word. Their psychological traits were deemed to be truthfulness, equability, and a competitive spirit. I don't know what that, naivety, reservedness, and individualism. Okay. So our Germans, Nordics, we will get to that part and all that. Okay, what does it mean to look Nordic? Okay, we read that. Nordic ethnicity. Reporting Northern Germanic peoples or Scandinavians, a group related ethnic groups originating in the Nordic countries. Okay, why are Scandinavians so attractive? Scandinavian women are beautiful because they fit the most common societal norm of what beauty is. They often have fair skin, light hair, and blue eyes, and they're commonly tall with slender figures and high cheekbones. Remember this part, that's very important. High cheekbones. All of this qualitatively beautiful by standards, societal measures. Okay, so the Viking physical features. So the faces of men and women in the Viking Age were more alike than they are today. The women's faces were more masculine than women's faces today, with prominent brow ridges. That's important too. Because I was trying to find this other picture, and I could not find it for the life of me. But today, I look up Nordic ET, and there it pops up. So there's no such thing as coincidence. I think that I needed more of an example to show you with this, because I know that I went over some examples of Nordic ETs, but I couldn't find this a particular one that I was looking for, and it's the best. So, with prominent brow ridges. On the other hand, the Viking man's appearance was more feminine than that of men today. They were quite beautiful, with a less prominent jaw and brow ridges. So, what are typical Scandinavian features? Okay, so what caught me with this one, stereotypical Scandinavian traits and facial features have, since the early 20th century, included straight blonde hair, blue eyes, tall figure, a straight nose, thin lips. They say a lot of these Nordic ETs have thin lips, beautiful features. You have to connect these things together that they're saying about these aliens that aren't aliens. They're ancient aliens in a way that they are foreign and unknown to us because we don't even think they're alive anymore, but they are. They just, okay, we're going to get there. Because they didn't even need craft at one time. You could have used vocal sound resonance to resonate with portals, kind of like natural portals that you could literally step into another world, like especially with these interdimensional realms, which is where we have a lot of these alien-like pictographs and such from ancient times that, kind of resemble gray aliens and different things, different beings, is because there were different interdimensionals, you see, that had come over and crossed into our world. Remember, the Aether was different, and at one time spirit and matter was one, and then the spirit was separated. So, like we had a time where there were different creatures and stuff. I mean, science can prove giant things, but then there was also other stuff. And this is where we have alien-human hybrids and such, but they're not aliens and such. Again, they are interdimensional beings that are the creations of the creator that came before us, like they say about the jinn in Islam. Okay, and again, jinn means all beings of the unseen realm. So that would include fairies, gnomes, goblins, whatever. Okay? And also aliens. That's what they call the aliens, although that's a jinn. That's what they used to say to me all the time on Facebook when I first started talking about this, but I thought they meant it as in demon. today I've come to understand that in a totally different way, and they are correct. It is of the unseen realm. All jinn are different. Some of them can be. They're a lot like us. They say they eat like us. They have families. They have likes, dislikes, and all of that. So, and they look different and whatnot because they were the creations of the Creator before us. And as the Asura had said to me at one time, that we were here before human beings were ever a thought. That's exactly what it said. So, and again, that is complicated, and I will explain that further if you are confused as to my connection to the Asura, how we have come to be connected, and where I stand on that today. We can address that. Maybe not today because we really have to get through this stuff, okay? When I read about the thin lips part, okay? I'll just take you back to the picture because we've already gone over the high cheekbones and the brow ridge, where you've seen it when we started. Let's see if I can open this. Oh, open in a new tab so we can see even closer. I apologize. Okay. My cell phone is ringing, but that's okay. It can go ahead and ring. Okay. Oops. So we move over this way. Hold on. Okay. I'm sorry about that. I had to go and grab that phone. It was a spam caller, like I suspected it was, but I also had a text message. Just really quickly, the energies are, I didn't even check what the sun's up to, but I suspect it's popping off and producing some energies because the energies have been quite turbulent. I would say they, like if you were on a boat, the waters would be choppy, and it's quite strong. But like I said, I was hit with this kind of epiphany last night. But okay. So yesterday I got a letter on my door where they want to check my house for bugs. They're checking everybody's house for bugs, but at first I didn't know that. The landlady and that fella have been still causing me problems. I'm not going to digress too much into this today, but yesterday it really sent me into a whirlwind, and I did some cleaning, but it made me want to vigorously clean my house, and I am going to clean the floors and the carpets. I mean, I was starting to clean the carpet with the carpet cleaner anyway. I do that once a year for sure with my carpet cleaner. Can you even see it? It's right there. It's right there. Right in that back corner right there. It's yellow and has that container. I don't even know if you can make it out, but that's where it is. And you can see like kind of the yellow of it on the bottom. Yeah. So anyway, the point is that that was something that I constantly was triggered by and had to worry about. Please don't leave this video because of me talking about this. Yeah. And it was like they didn't put anything on the letter. They didn't say what areas of my home they're checking, what bugs they're checking for, if it's bed bugs or cockroaches or both. And so I just had all these questions like, what exactly do I have to prepare if they're going into my room? Do I need to remove my bedding? Like there was just no instructions or anything. So anyway, I asked one of my neighbors, did you also get one of these papers to make sure that it wasn't just me? Anyway, I may have to go talk to the landlord and tenant board. I don't know, because it's really, like it's not this particular thing. It's like, I don't want to get into it, okay? I'm sorry. But let's just move on. So that's what that was about. But I'm glad that I know that now, because I was kind of worried that they were just doing that on purpose. Like I had mentioned that I saw a dead cockroach in one of the stairwells. And this just happens. They come up out of the ground, they're outside. It doesn't mean that you're in a dirty place, you know. I used to think that. But yeah, and I mentioned it to the landlady as she was passing. And of course, I kind of had forgotten because I was in a different mood where I was positive, not manic or anything. But I was just having a really good day and I wasn't focused on those types of things. And so, you know, I just said, oh, excuse me, you know, I just wanted to, because I was just talking with one other resident in the elevator about it. I said, you should mention it to them. And so I did without thinking that they just don't really like me anymore. Yeah. I wrote a 5-page letter, you know, and it was all legitimate stuff over the last year and blah, 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 blah. So I'm really sorry to digress into this. It's kind of a waste of time. But because of the phone call, you know. Anyway, let's move on. So here we have the brow ridges, okay? This is where you see kind of the changes. She kind of has a bit of a square, like, thin lips. I would say she looks a little bit... When I first saw this, forgive me, I said that they looked a bit cavemanish, okay? If you look over here at this fella too, he kind of has that feminine Viking look, like we were talking about. You know, less angular jaw, kind of a feminine look, long, thin nose, thin lips, blue eyes, blonde hair. This sounds like an ancient Scandinavian. And in fact, I believe this is a DNA symbol right here, if you didn't notice that. And this is why they say they are our ancient ancestors, or they're just like us, you know, that, you know, because really now we're a genetic mix of so many different things. I can even get into the fact that I had kind of a little bit of like I thought to myself, because I don't think about being Caucasian or white or whatever, you know, like I don't think about these things. So I was like, what even is being white? Like I knew that, you know, there were certain origins of where, you know, white peoples have come from, but where did we originate and shit like that? And I looked that up too. And, you know, so like these people, and I went to the website where this particular picture comes from, and it doesn't have anything on it that it was just this and then a bunch of ads and such. But we can look over some of the other pictures. There's this one here, which is a common Palladian picture. And if you can see, they also look a tad bit different, kind of what I would call, for lack of a better term, cavemanish. And I mean, these people could have come from an ancient time, and like I said, gone in, my screen's flickering, gone into another timeline that runs faster and essentially go to the future. So, and these are where these blue suits, and this may just be like the Galactic Federation would be made up of multiple groups, different groups that agree on the same ideals. And like we were talking about the swastika with the... Here, we can just go over to that. The swastika is here. And it is here, as you can see right here, it has all the ancient civilizations where this can be found. But I just want to go up a little bit. And it says, is a symbol that transcends time for a reason, deeply rooted in ancient civilizations. If you can see right here, the history of the 12,000-year-old swastika origins. Okay? This ancient symbol actually has ancient history dating back to 12,000 years. Most likely, while most of us associate the swastika with Hitler and his abhorrent Nazi regime, this ancient symbol actually has an ancient history dating back to 12,000 years. You will find this at a lot of the ancient sites. I just wanted to see, it says it represents good luck, unity, harmony, but I can't remember where it says this. Ow, I almost bit my tongue there a little bit. Oh, here it is an ancient symbol used by various civilizations, including those ancient India, Europe, Africa, China, and the Americas, often representing good fortune and well-being. Its earliest known uses date back thousands of years and it is associated with religions such as Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism. Okay? But, as we saw with the four worlds symbol, which resembles quite a lot to this ancient Viking symbol, or Icelandic symbol, ancient Scandinavian, let's just call it that, the Jinfaxi, okay, it's believed to bring good luck and enhance the wrestler's chance of victory. But as you can see right here, it does resemble a swastika, and it definitely looks like the symbol of the four worlds. Okay, here's this Jinfaxi. And then one second. Okay, so 7,000-year-old. This is from Atlantean Gardens. I believe this is Robert Zephyr. I just clicked on a certain picture because I wanted to find the one. There is the Aztec, and here it is here. You also have the symbol of the lightning bolt that's commonly seen with the SS. But we also have the four directions symbol here. And if you look closer, even in that, this looks like the Anunnaki picture, the ancient symbol with that little star. It almost looks like here's this direction here, 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know if you can make that out, but again, the four world symbols. There's Teotihuacan style. Of course, it would be there because they were part of this. Okay, let's go down again. This looks like Japan. Yep, the Japanese. But this is an ancient symbol. As we go back to... are you going to show up? Here it is. Tartaria. This is India. Right here is China. And this is Japan. So at one time, China was... like Japan was part of China. Do you see? All this territory here in green. Pretty freaking sure. Okay? So again, this symbol is when peoples were united, all as one. Now, where... Atlantean Gardens. Okay, here we go again. Now again, this is coinage from that time and symbols. Again, this is where we were in unity. These are Nordic symbols, Viking symbols and such. Again, here's the symbol again of the four worlds. There it is again. There it is again. And this has to do with the four directions, north, south, east, and west. But it also has to do with humans, higher dimensionals, lower dimensionals, and subhuman creatures. The four creations. Okay? There's some on pottery. Again, you will find things like this because different peoples had different dwellings, and you had also elementals, so beings that are of the earth, of the sky. So you're going to find dwellings up on mountaintops like Machu Picchu. You're going to find underground dwellings, and which there's ancient site in Turkey. I believe there's a lot of tunnels underground and things like this that would have been occupied most likely at the time, and possibly where people were housed to survive the flood. So we'll go down a bit more. The Arizona Indians, the Navajo, again, the Navajo believed in the four worlds. Their story is the creation, the Dine, and the four worlds. That is the Navajo. And this is the symbol. It looks like a swastika, but it's not. It is not what that represents. Okay, it is much, much older. Again, look here, they're little tags because it symbolized unity. It was something that was agreed upon, like a galactic federation, right? They agreed on certain ideals: peace, unity, harmony, sharing, working together, surviving together, because they were all one. Things change over time. Nothing stays the same forever, but the cycles continue. And like I was saying, technologies are lost and rediscovered, lost and rediscovered. Certain groups of these people would be breakaway civilizations. I don't know how exactly they decide who stays and who goes or whatever, but it may all be connected to, the elites and all of this. I mean, this is really the only way that they can continue today's world is by hiding the old one and making people think this is all there is. This is all there'll ever be. Because they will want these other technologies and other things. They will want this other way of life if they know that it can be possible. And very, very simply so. This was a time where people worked with nature, not against it. They were working to enhance it and live with it also as one, knowing that it was a living entity, a kind of consciousness along with them in the evolutionary scale of things, especially with, the soul school reincarnation cycle, where at one time we were plants, rocks, then rocks, plants, animals, human, and then we go to be these higher dimensional type of beings where we're going in and out of dimensions and such like this. We would technically be an alien or an extraterrestrial or whatever. Yeah. But each of these civilizations rediscovered. We're going to go in. I mentioned previously that you could create a levitation. You could be sitting on a rock and have a flying rock. And there is, there's so much to look for. So we may have to do another video, or I'll have to pause and bring up more tabs. Okay. But it goes back. So carved out of volcanic rock in Eastern Africa. Okay, right here, I believe this is, or maybe over here. Or I'm not sure. I'm not sure what we're looking at. Okay, there are famous cross-shaped churches of La Bella, Ethiopia, and according to Ethiopian legend, they were built by angels, higher dimensionals. That's what an angel is, okay? They were built by angels, yes, because beings from the previous civilizations at a certain point of a newer civilization's development will come down and aid them with further development, sharing their wisdom, like how you see the Anunnaki coming down and teaching the ancient Sumerians about things, farming and whatnot, okay? And helped with like irrigation systems, and how I said about probably electromagnetism and shit like that, okay? Same with ancient Egypt. See, a lot of it was storytelling back in the day, where I came from before. We didn't really have a written language because we didn't really speak. I mean, there was small forms of language, but it was different. Again, if you hear about ancient stories of the lost continent of Mu and things like this, well, it's not technically a lost continent, it's a lost civilization. And there have been many of them, and they just keep getting, either whether by natural disaster, because all things start and end, okay, or by forced destruction. All right? If you ever wonder how a world deluge, a world flood could happen, the moon has a very direct impact upon our oceans, the tides, and even the waters in our body. So even if you moved the moon, and these beings with their technology, they say that the moon is hollow, it rang like a bell. There's different theories, okay? But let's just theorize here. If you moved the moon, it would cause a lot of chaos on Earth, okay? Especially with the oceans. All right? So it could have been this way, you know? But that's how it would be able to happen and such. And it wouldn't take much, because I believe that at one time it said, don't quote me on this, but it said that the moon wasn't there. And the Earth was probably in a really chaotic time. Anyway, let's continue a little bit here. So again, we're going to go back to this map. And the reason why is because Ethiopia is here. Here's Nigeria right there. There's Nubia. Now, I don't know if you've ever heard about the ancient kingdom of Kemet. Okay? I am not sure exactly. I do remember the ancient civilizations of Africa, okay? Black people. And the thing is like I was saying, it comes back and it'll come back. So with Tartaria around that time, I'm not exactly sure what would be going on here. But I do know that Ethiopia is here on this little map somewhere. I just can't see it. Oh, there it is. Ethiopia. Right here, right at the bottom. I'm sorry that it's so small. If I open it up, it's so huge that it's hard to see. But there is Ethiopia. So all of these places were using like ancient sound technology, healing technology. They had Aether Tech. They had levitation. They had like levitation technology. They had a lot of really cool stuff back then. And it's unfortunate. I mean, this would be also the time of where giants lived with us. Again, this is where we had big ass doorways, and it's over here. And this is where, are you ready for this? This is where we have this. Here's regular human peoples. These were probably, they look to be high members of society, possibly. But if you recognize this hand in the jacket, is that man's left hand? I believe so. Hold on, I'm terrible at this. Yeah, it is. So, there could have been, these would be the custodian or Anunnaki type. I would suppose that's about how big they are. Yeah. No, I didn't see them physically, but I felt them energetically, and I had to look way up, okay, way bigger than Gene Simmons. And it was not fear for my life, but it was definitely like an authoritative, not as bad as it sounds, but they definitely projected an authority and dominance for sure. It wasn't that bad, but Anyway, so, I mean, they are quite big, but they're not as big as, like Attack on Titan big. You see what I'm saying? Um, but these would be the giants. But of course, there were certain groups, they weren't all in agreement to, again, what they should do, and this is why there's been so much war. Okay? And fighting amongst societies and different groups and such, because they have different ideals. But I would assume that for different peoples that could agree, regardless of where you come from, like this is why, like when I was a kid, I said there was a group of superheroes out there. Well, basically what that means is good people that want the best for the universe and everyone in it, let's say, and this world and other worlds in the multiverse, well, however you want to think about it. But this would be their federation. It wouldn't be all just one type of being. It would be a bunch of beings working together. And of course, this would basically, what would be the opposing fleet would be the same thing, except for people that believe opposite things and believe, in instead of unity and division and conquering and all this nonsense, yes? The opposite of goodness, I suppose, right? It would be selfish and all of this. So there would be two sides. Like this is what basically Dark Fleet would be. But, it's just a bit exaggerated with the whole Space Force thing. There most definitely is people that do not have good intentions that have this technology as well. And it's probably a problem. The technology has changed over time, even so much that if you don't know what aerogels are, it's a substance that almost looks like a cloud. It's 99% air, but it's one of the strongest substances known ever. And we could get to that in this, but it also makes the UFO craft or the flying craft look like a cloud. Because it's 99% air. Okay? Strongest thing we have. Yeah. I'll have to close some of the tabs to get to it. But let's continue on just a tiny little bit. We can see more pictures. I know that there are more. I wanted to start with this one because of this that I noticed. And then it says in the comments, oh yeah, that hand in the jacket thing. When I read that, I laughed out loud. Okay? And regardless, like I don't know, it doesn't look fake. It's very peculiar that this person has their hand in their coat like that, okay? That's purposeful. If you've watched the Freemasonry expose video with Altian Childs, he really goes into it. And again, they have to keep us entertained and focused on this world. And that's why a lot of these people join up with the Kabbalah, and this agenda to keep us believing this is all there is, what they tell us. Yes, it's a matter of control and a form of slavery. But again, there are some beings that they feel good by doing that, and there are some beings that would never do that because it would make them sick, probably right to death. Because that's how I feel about it. Like, I was thinking about this yesterday. There's no way, ever. If I was back in the day on those ships that landed in Africa, and they're like, let's just take those people, I'd be like, no, let's not. And I would go so far, I know this makes me sound like a psycho, but I'd hit that asshole with an oar over the edge of the boat and be like, I don't know what happened to him. Hey, peoples, it's nice to meet you. We'd be taking nobody. Do you hear me? So, and without going into all the intricacies, do you understand what I'm trying to tell you? That if it was me, I would not have done that. I don't care if they were being sold and their own people were doing it. Those people would not be taken. No, they're not going to come home with me and do my fucking dishes. You know what I'm saying? Let's just leave it there. So let's just go back. Different people's different ideals. Different mindsets. There are lots of pictures here. Now, there are some people that have genetic disorders of giantism. Like there's certain people. This one is one that I thought was pretty good because there would have been ancient Chinese giants for sure. There's lots of skeletons found, but that's pretty interesting, right? Giant people. I mean, look at the size of him. I think he might even be sitting down. Is that his knees right there? I don't know. But maybe not his feet, but whatever. He's still gigantic. Look at his hand. Look at that arm length. There's also been ancient armor found in Japan. I talked about this, and there was a big ass sword that was found. Okay, so look at this. Here we go again. Again, with Adam being 15 feet. There's Noah. Noah is maybe 13, 12 feet. There's 15 feet, and it shrinks. Now, modern day men and women at 6 feet. You see? We're just a smaller version of what once was. This was the original computer. This is the cell phone. See what I'm saying? Original computer, big, bulky, processors took up an giant room. You know what I mean? Big. Or how the PlayStation 2 and then it shrunk. Yes, to be more, and now you can play PlayStation games probably on your cell phone, right? Now, the thing of it is going back in time, they probably would have been bigger, okay? And I mean, I don't know if this is accurate with the 2 eyes. They may have been the one-eyed giants, and they would have had double rows of teeth, probably 6 toes. Because of their size, they would need more toes to support their weight and height. And so you would see this, double rows of teeth, because they existed in a time with probably the dinosaurs, you know what I'm saying? Do you even know the crazy stuff that was in the ocean? You don't have to worry just about the T-Rex. There's gigantic creatures in the ocean. We're at 52 minutes already, and I can only go for 60 minutes. So thank God I checked, because this might even be a little bit longer. I was really hoping that it wouldn't be over an hour. So let's see if I've gone over everything, because maybe I can do this. Okay. Well, I'm not particularly ready to get to that part because I brought up Gene Simmons. But let's just go over here really quick. Sorry about that. It's actually a YouTube video. Just wait. Sorry. Hold on. Goodness, that took forever. I had to restart it, go back to YouTube, go into my history, go back to this. So, this right here is called Prehistoric Granite Bunkers Polished with Advanced Technology. Now, despite the title, okay, so I just wanted to start here because it's found in Peru, Italy, India, and Egypt. Okay, so this again symbolizes a great vast distance in different parts of the world. All right, but what it actually looks like is we're dealing with this. Oh, hold on. A little bit further. Oh, past it. Right here. Okay. So like I was saying in earlier with those asteroids and stuff, if you hollowed out one, like we're about to see like this, I will put it on mute. This is from the channel Universe Inside You, I believe, yeah. Universe Inside You. So we may touch further later, not in this section because I'm almost running out of time. I have 5 minutes left. But we may touch on the creator gods of humanity thing. I believe that through interbreeding, that evolution could have been quickened or changed in a certain direction. Okay, let's just put it that way. And well, what happened before the flood? There was a lot of genetic mixing and different things, mixing together. Like, because we're all one civilization, right? We all live together, all these different beings. So of course, there was going to be different interbreeding and stuff like this. But again, this is what they say when the fallen angels came down and such. And I guess we just didn't realize about what would happen if the different creations mixed in this way. So, yeah. But we have here is what this really is. It's basically a giant echo chamber. This. And let's see. Okay, well, it's low setting. I just have so much open. So it's all sealed on the inside, as you can see here. It has like these exact fittings. I'm going to try to show you. It's very polished on the inside. Because I don't know. See, it's very long in here. Like a long tube. And they just hollowed it out. It's hollowed out. So it looks like a rock. I'm trying to get to the... like this. And so it's completely sealed type of echo chamber type of deal. And they must have had like a big stone that they would move over the door. But if you see, it has two different parts. I'm trying to get to that. Two different parts of it. Oh. Right here. So you would have, like you can see right here, there's like a little dome and then this long thing here. You'd have this echo, people chanting in here, a resonance chamber, and then with sound and whatever technology they had going on, I mean, they could have been opening portals using just these chants. And it says in here that it wasn't used for gathering or talking. If a couple people started talking at once, the sound would become inaudible. That's what it looks like. So again, if you think of that, Oumuamua, the Oumuamua, whatever that is, asteroid meteor thing, like I talked about with the Atlas 31, that's also, I mean, they could have launched a gigantic, big-ass rock into orbit. It literally, like, it's called anti-gravity for a reason. Well, with that term, right? Creates lift, regardless of the weight. So, let's see. So you can see that there's a very intricate door. This is in India, again, where they would have this type of stuff, healing technologies and such as well. It could have been a resonance chamber for healing, but it seems that when you're inside and there's a bunch of people, that you're all talking. I mean, it's completely sealed on the inside. So, like we went over that story with I work at NASA, we made contact, last week or whatever. And there's quite a few of these, I guess, these things. And it talked about super precise echo chamber in that. I figure this may be something similar to what that was describing. You might be able to make contact with other realms, creating this certain frequency, energy, and vibration. I believe the rock is made of granite. Yeah, that's granite. At least looking at it from what I know of certain granite, that looks like granite to me. Polished granite. I'm like, put on the captions. Yeah, polished granite. It is. It's granite. So, hold on. In the hills, ancient structures. Again, they would have the Vimanas at probably this time. I just wanted it to see where They said, oh, I'm going to run out of time. Oh, it only records